Homer broke the display case, triggering the alarm. He and Marge quickly ran away. People chased after them, so Homer kicked out a can of cola, shoved in some popping candy, and shook it violently. Homer used the explosion to escape. But back at home, Marge released all the candy. The kids happily enjoyed it, but Homer couldn't find the piece of gummy candy he took from the display case. Homer had no choice but to do as told. On the way, he kept criticizing her education and job. He even wanted her to control the steering wheel so he could scratch an itch. Ashley, feeling scared, asked to get out nearby. Just as she was getting out, Homer noticed the gummy candy he had been thinking about stuck on her pants. He immediately reached out to grab it. Ashley, feeling the touch, turned around and saw Homer drooling.
Thank you!
The next day, the kids, having eaten too much candy, held their stomachs and came to the living room. When they heard Marge planned to donate some of the candy, they gritted their teeth guarding the candy and kept eating. Suddenly, a crowd gathered in front of their house. It turned out people had learned about Ashley's experience and were standing up for her. Homer, feeling wronged, vented to Marge. After expressing her trust in him, Marge encouraged him to explain things to Ashley. With her support, Homer gathered his courage and went outside to explain. But the people outside didn't believe him at all. Just then, a gust of wind blew his robe up. This made the crowd even more convinced he was a pervert. Later, when Homer drove out, they shook his car and they even followed him to the nuclear power plant to protest against him. Homer began to have a mental breakdown. He then found out that Marge's explanation to the protesters didn't go well either. This time, he had to rely on himself. Godfrey invited Homer to clarify on his show. Homer appeared in formal attire. But before he could finish explaining, Godfrey interrupted him. That night, they waited in front of the TV for the show to air, only to find that not only did they edit it to make Homer admit to the incident, but they also aired a fake video of him attacking Godfrey. Soon, more and more media showed up outside their house. Some took photos of him showering, claiming he was collecting sexual power. Others interviewed people who didn't even know him, but cried when they talked about him. Some even adapted the story into a TV series. Fortunately, one outlet was willing to let him do a live broadcast to clear things up. The whole family went, and finally Homer was able to explain everything.
The switchboards are lighting up!
However, the 2 calls he received were advertisements. This meant no one was actually watching him clarify anything. Back home, Homer, in despair, ate ice cream. Suddenly, Willie came over to visit. It turned out he had a habit of secretly recording people, and that day he happened to have recorded the whole incident. They hurriedly took the tape to Ashley to explain.
Homer, I thought you were an animal, but your daughter said you were a decent man. I guess she was right.
You're both right.
With Ashley's help, Godfrey had no choice but to apologize to Homer on TV. But at the same time, he announced that Willie would be the guest on the next episode. Homer, hearing the sinister music, immediately labeled Willie as a pervert.